All right, so today we're talking about the bearings. So bearings is just giving directions to certain objects. So you're going to set up the triangles in, that's what it'll do, but they'll use words of bearings to get you started. So if you talk about cardinal bearings, just leave it. Cardinal bearings is when they're just going to say north, east, south or west. So say, for example, so if you're going from north out to east, so if they say east, what angle do you form there?
Right angle.
Yeah, it's a right angle, so 90 degrees. So say if they said they walk directly east, you know that you can set up this thing that's, say, 90 degrees. So the cardinal bearings are just when they're going to give those words. So if, for example, if you were going northeast here, so from north you're going out northeast. If that was 90, what would northeast be in here? Yeah, 45 degrees. Good. So that's what cardinal is. If you're doing the next one, the compass bearings here, they're going to always start off with, they'll give you a north or east. So say for this one, they're saying you're in the north, so you know you're starting from here. Then they'll tell you which way you're swinging, whether you're going left or right. So because it's gone east, you've gone to the east, and they measure the angle that way. So there's the 30 degrees. So for example, this other one, if we did this one here, the south, we would have, so if you set up your little compass here, now you're starting at the south, so you start here and you head towards the west. So this one would be out here, 20 degrees. Does that make sense? So you're down in the south, so you started at south and then you head towards east by 20 degrees. All right, so that's a compass bearing. If they say true bearings, that means you need to have a 3-digit number. So say it's 65. So up here, I'm going to go back up here and do this one here as a compass bearing. So you always start at north for compass bearing. So if I went all the way north to south, how many degrees is that? That's 180. And then I've gone this 20 degrees. So this has a compass bearing of what? 200. See how I've added the 180 and the 20 and we get 200. Yeah? What about this one? What do you think this one has a compass bearing of here? Sorry? We've got, you start at the north, and how many degrees have we gone? Yeah, so because we need 3 numbers, you got to have a 3-digit. So you put 030 degrees. Okay, so that's the difference between a compass and true bearing. So we'll just have to be careful when we do the questions. So if I go over here, give the 3-figure bearing. So they want the compass bearing for the direction shown. So if we have a look, we've gone, what have we gone? We've gone 180. Now, if they're saying this little bit is 25, we know that equals what?
65.
And right angle is 90. So we're saying that would be 65. So what would the true bearing all the way around to there will be? 245 degrees. So what's the 3-figure bearing? You would say it's 245 degrees. Okay, so now we're going to look at some questions here and how it sets it up. So we'll have a look. So a group of bushwalkers leave the point P, which is on the road that runs north-south. So you can see here we've got the north and the south, and they're starting at point P. And they walk for 30 kilometres on a bearing of 020 degrees to reach Q. So when you're doing bearing questions, it's always really good to maybe draw up a little, so see we're starting on P, you should always just draw a nice light little compass. Now it's pretty easy because they've got that north. So see how I've drawn my little compass there? Just with your grey leads, draw a nice thing so that you can say, in case they don't have a diagram, you go, all right, they start at point P and here we go, we've got 20 degrees. So they got to Q. Now, what is the shortest distance, X, from Q to the road? So they're showing you that there anyway. but you might have to set the diagrams up without that. But anyway, so we're going to do question A here. So once you've sort of got this other diagram, try to just draw a triangle of what you're trying to work out. So we know we've got this triangle here. This was X, this was P, this was Q, and you know that was 90 degrees, and you know that's 20, and they did tell you this was 30. So now you just go about what we've been doing in other classes. So if I labelled this up, what's this? This is the hypotenuse, and this one would be the opposite. Remember, it's opposite. So which one of the formulas has O and H, sine? So you just go sine angle equals O over H, and then you do sine 20. Make sure your calculator is on degrees, and then you can just use your end solve if you like, and go comma X, and you can work that out, whatever X equals. I'm not going to do it, but you can. So then if we look at B, looking from point Q, so this is now where we are starting. We're talking about point Q, so we might draw our little compass here, and this is where we are. And they said, looking from point Q, what would be the 3 bearing figure of their starting point? So what you've got to do is you've always got to be where you are. So they're saying from point Q. So I'm going to start here. And then what I'm being asked is to find all the way around to here. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to find. So you know to this bit is 180. So really you need to find out what this bit in here is. Now, can you see, I'm just going to change the pen. Can you see that these north lines are like parallel lines, aren't they? Yeah. So if I draw them like this, here's my parallel lines. So I've got P here and Q's up here. Then we've got this intersecting line between them, yeah? Now, don't we remember on your first page of notes, we said if this is 20 degrees, isn't that 20 degrees because of alternate angles? Yeah? So now I know this little bit in here is 20 degrees. So what is the true bearing from all the way around there? Is 200, because you've done 180 plus the 20. Yep. All right, so let's have a look at this one. A road from town A runs due west for 14 kilometres to town B. Right, so what you want to do is this one obviously doesn't have a diagram, so what you want to do is you start off with it. So I might start off, I'm going to start off with, this is town A, okay? And you might, I've drawn a little compass here, and I always draw them lightly to know. So they said that you ran due west. Sorry, I should have moved this. I'm going to move this over. Okay, so B is due west. So you go along the west line and like this. So due west means he's exactly on that west line and you get to B. So you might find it easier if you put another compass on that lightly. Just do it lightly so you can see it. Because see before when we needed the parallel lines, you can't see them if you don't have your little compasses there. All right, a television mast is located due south of B at a distance, and we also know that that's 14 kilometres, from a distance 23 kilometres. So due south, that means I'd go straight down, to another point. And I might draw another little compass on this guy as well. So you'd have a little one so you could see it would look like that. All right. So, and this is 23 kilometres. Now, because I'm just roughly sketching it, but can you see that I have made the 23 kilometre line a little bit longer than 14 kilometres? You should make sure you do that, because if you don't, you can sometimes get a deceiving picture. It might not look what is actually happening. So always try, you have to be not totally accurate, but it would have to be bigger, yeah? Otherwise it might stuff you up. So draw a diagram. Now, this was the mast. What did they call it? It was a flat, what is it? A television mast. So I'm just going to call it TV mast. I don't know what that is. Yeah. Okay, so draw a diagram and calculate the distance of the mast from the center of the town A. So we are essentially, the question is going to be finding this distance here, yeah? Like that. Okay, so if you look at that, so that's the question. So I might say, calculate the distance. I've called that X. All right, if you look at what we've got a right angle triangle, haven't we? Because you can see those compasses. And so therefore we've got a right angle triangle and we want to know this distance to the nearest kilometre. So if we have 3 sides, what formula are we going to use? Good, Pythagoras, excellent. So we're going to use this one. So this side is C, isn't it? And it's A and B. So we're going to have x squared equals 14 squared plus 23 squared. And you guys can just use your solve function, comma, x, and you'll find out the distance there. Okay? So they're not as hard this year, but see these little grey compass lines that I'm drawing here? These guys here, they're very important. You must use this skill and practice doing this all the time, and then you won't have a problem. People who don't do it, that's when you struggle, because you can see parallel lines. Because remember the last question, we needed to see that was parallel, yeah? So you might need it to see that. Okay.